Onset, while I have you, looking at the series layout, I know that ITB do have their preferences, and I think it's something that we see in terms of series layouts and how things land for them. They tend to be pretty strong on certain game modes and types, but then others, it's shocking. It's not close whatsoever. So we're seeing 3-2s occasionally from them, but it's very lackluster in other modes that they're losing out on. What do you see when you look at this series layout?
I mean, the first thing is, I won't spend too much time on this, but CTF Empyrean is going to be game number 1, which is one that they beat Shopify Rebellion on back in London. So that was kind of one of the highlights of London for them, because there wasn't too much else to really be happy about with their performance. But Slayer Aquarius, ITB also won a few big game 5s on that. So if you're looking at the series and you're looking for it to go long, for ITB, I think having those 2 game types up first is going to be a great opportunity for them in this series.
It certainly will be. Bro, talking about opportunity, when you're looking at this matchup, I think a few people will be like, Shopify, they're looking so good in ITB, top 6, etc. This could be a lot spicier than I think a few of our viewers might think.
Yeah, it really can. Also, just to piggyback off what Mark was saying about game 1, game number 2, also that did go the way of Shopify in London. However, I just caught Wonderboy backstage. He says they're feeling really good about their Street Slayer. So even just to kind of reiterate, if they take these first 2, this could be a really spicy series for sure.
It certainly could be. Well, I have been told it is time to go to the main stage for the first time here at Salt Lake City. Couldn't be more excited. Onset and Brav, it's over to you.
Thank you so much, Lon. Here we go then, everybody. It's our first series here at the HCS Salt Lake City Major. Andy, how are you feeling, brother? What a series to start us off.
It's a really great series to start things off here. 2 teams with 2 very different stories this season and 2 really different things to focus on, right? If you think about the side of Shopify, they know they need to lock in for the whole weekend and set the stage for what will be a long 3 days. For ITB, they need to make sure that they resettle the nerves here. As we talked about, a dangerous top 16 exit. They have exited in groups before. They know how important these matches are. It is a fantastic series to start off the weekend.
Yeah, and this pool is going to be so close. You remember, just lurking in the shadows for both of these teams is Cloud9, and they have been another team who has consistently upset teams who have pushed them to game 5, and we're talking about some of the best teams in the world. So Cloud9 are going to have an opportunity to strike in this series if either of these teams isn't performing at their best. But like I mentioned, CTF Empyrean, a great way for both teams to start here. Gives them a little bit of comfort to get into this series, and a good indication, like we mentioned previously, for ITB, because they managed to take this game off of Shopify back in London. But it's time for us to get underway. The first bullets are about to be fired. Welcome to Salt Lake City, everybody, and welcome to the final major of the year.
And unsurprisingly, the crowd likes what they see. An opening sniper battle, early pull coming in here. Let's see what can happen here on our screen. It's going to be Mental on your screen. Obviously not Mental's POV. We'll get that sorted, but Mental, the player with the snipe here, gets the body shot that he needed on the first BR to slow things down off of the rip.
Yeah, a little bit of pressure coming in from ITB, really trying to overload that high side. Another touch is going to come in as WuTum manages to get a trade, but Mental at the moment is just having to play his life a little bit here. It looks like a somewhat of a reset on the map, although more pressure is starting to come in, and there's a repulse coming in from TchiK. So a little bit of good teamwork coming in, as now we're seeing ITB off at the back of that kill on the tower, trying to flood through the long haul.
Hey, zMightys picks up 1 as well. As you said, that was 2 dead momentarily. There's a little bit more slaying that needs to be done, but he continues to connect. However, not going to be easy with this flank coming in through long haul, 2v2 and long.
Yeah, this is a big 2v2. Whoever wins this might get the flag cap or the return, but it's looking like ITB are going to win that fight on the long haul. And now you can see they're shadowing the flag player back, and that is going to be ITB and Jimbo putting that first flag on the board here.
Wow, very, very nice. And once again, what did we say? When we saw ITB play against Shopify several months ago in London, we know the result of this game. ITB took that game number 1, and they're off to a great start, once again indicating that they are still on top of their game. And Pit CTF eventually taken down in sword, so that snipe, I believe, was empty. Will not be a snipe here for Mental. He'll have to push up without it, but here comes the push.
Seen suppressed behind enemy lines as well, so ITB in a little bit of a precarious situation here as 2 do fall inside of their flag, and the last 2 players respawning in the courtyard means that flag is already down into the long haul. So even though it was a hot start here for ITB, it's looking like an almost immediate response, and it will be that response indeed. We're tied up at 1-1 as the flag will go home.
Very, very nice there from Suppressed and team to make sure that flag goes in right away. Big momentum arrestor play there. If you think ITB was going to maybe get a little bit of confidence off of that flag cap, it's actually shut down. ITB, by the way, outslaying by 1 right now, too, make it 13-11 in total kills. Another flag pull coming in.
Momentary 3 dead here, and if you're wondering whose POV this is, you might be confused by the Frenchman on your screen, but you can tell by the flicks
Look at this.
and the tricks coming in on your screen with this flag run. It is, of course, the mouse and keyboard phenomenon that is WuTum. Already got this one back to his side. Just looking at the kill feed at the moment. Nobody's here. Nobody's picking up kills, but WuTum's running flags home. It's going to be ITB Esports who find them now 1 flag away from closing out this game number 1.
WuTum may have single-handedly converted some controller players to mouse and keyboard with that flag run. That was some smooth as butter running of that flag, hitting the perfect slides all the way back. We'll see what SoulSnipe can do with the rockets in hand here on the first BR.
Interesting to see. It's a little bit of a kind of split of the power weapons and power-ups. You see the power weapons are in the hands of Shopify Rebellion with this rocket launcher, but it was ITB who had the overshield. So, interesting kind of dilemma for both teams here. Do you go back? Do you try and push forward? It seemed like the flag was momentarily moving on the other side of the map, but now ITB have got to turn their attentions to the flag running back to the Shopify Rebellion side. It looks like 3 players will fall. The return will come in as they run this one back, and we have a tied game, everybody. Next flag will win, as Shopify Rebellion will tie us up at 2-2.
Impressive stuff there from SoulSnipe. That was an expensive kill on the flag to burn 2 rockets on that single player, but in the end, they make sure they get the timing on the kills, and just like you say, 2-2 here. Plenty of time on the clock, but you get the feeling we're not going to need all 8.5 to close this one out.
One thing that's crazy to me is the efficiency of both teams so far, right?
Yeah.
It's 2-2. Next flag wins in this game, and no player on the map has got double-digit kills at the moment. That is just crazy. Every flag that's moved has gone home.
Also very still neck and neck here. It's Shopify now outslaying 22-20 in terms of overall kills, but as you say, still nobody on double digits, and not just efficiency, I would say, in timing and kills, but also in the pulls themselves. When the flags have been pulled, they have gone home here. 2-2. Next flag will take it.
TchiK putting some pressure onto Mental here. He's trying to stay alive, but zMightys is going to fly through and manage to get that kill going his way. There's another one being picked up on the side here of ITB, and they know where Cykul is. zMightys trying to chase him down, trying to survive. 2 players will slide out to deal with him, but being in that advanced position on the map is allowing ITB to put more pressure here onto the Shopify base.
Back and forth here as ITB narrowly goes into a kill lead overall. TchiK trying to make something happen from the training, but knows he's going to need the help, so he'll retreat. Not an easy angle to fight both these players from the court. Unsurprisingly, he is taken down, means momentarily 2 dead here for Shopify.
Oh, you see Wu getting fired up there, and I think that's because someone in the kill feed just did something a little bit special for ITB. It's 4 dead here for Shopify Rebellion, and WuTum has got that flag back to the long haul. He's got into the cover, and it might be ITB Esports here who are going to strike first in this series. WuTum throws that one forward, takes a few bullets from the bridge, but TchiK gets the double, and ITB will strike first here on the main stage.
I'm just going to say it. That flag running is OP. Put WuTum on the flag. Doesn't matter if he has a snipe in hand. Those are unbelievable runs there. The timing, the slides that he's hitting both on the pull itself all the way back. You just get the feeling, I mean, how long have we been running flags on the pit? It feels like that runs a little bit.
It feels like we
better.
haven't been running along, because that's the best way to do it. It's taken us, what, 15 years to get to that point?
All we needed was a keyboard. And maybe a mouse. My God, WuTum and team showing up in a big way once again. In the end, they outslay 31-25, and they win the game 3-2, and it's a little bit of deja vu on your screen. They will take game 1, pit CTF yet again. Heading into game number 2, they take a 1-0 series lead over the heavy favorite in Shopify.
Every single pull that was made by ITB Esports was converted. Fantastic, fantastic teamwork coming in from them to make sure that everything was lining up perfectly. And something you highlighted so well as we look at these replays was the timing of the kills, right? It was, if 2 were dead, they would move that flag, and within 3-4 seconds, the other 2 players would fall, creating that pathway back for that flag to be run. It was masterful from ITB.
It really was brilliant timing. How about even on the last run itself? By the way, WuTum, I'm telling you, man, especially going from long, he's not even done. He just keeps sliding. He's flying. You can't stop him. You can't slow him down. Here's SoulSnipe. As I said, an expensive pull pays off in the end. They get this flag back, but you're about to see in just a few moments the makings of that last run. Let's not forget, they got 4 dead as the flag was already on the first BR. It was brilliant timing.
I mean, this was the play, I think. Oh, it's WuTum. That was why he was getting fired up in those final moments, and that's what he does, right? He's a playmaker, and he is a showman as well. And showing up in game number 1 is ITB Esports, following the pattern that we saw from when these 2 teams met on that game type in London. So they're pretty good on that one.
They are, and like I said, just for anyone who didn't catch it earlier in the pregame, game number 2 is going to be that Slayer Aquarius. Even though we saw Shopify take this exact same game in London against them, Wonderboy has given me his word that they are pretty confident on this game type, and I'm going to take it. So I tell you what, if this one gets, by the way, make sure to get that updated there. It's an ITB 3-2 win in that game number 1.
Again, we'll say this too. Let's forget about that. Let's get into the game. We'll talk about that a little bit later. It's time for us to continue the series here. Enough of us waffling. Let's see some Halo on our screens. ITB Esports up by 1 here over Shopify Rebellion in Pool C. The question is, Andy, Will they be able to kind of add a few more losses to the Slayer record that has been so impressive on the side of Shopify Rebellion?
That's the question. ITB knows they're going to have to play the entire 12 minutes here, all 50 kills. This is not going to be an easy one as we are underway, and now a very new opening rush. First time debuting on LAN here on the main stage. We'll see who comes out ahead.
Almost strange to see players flooding down to P1 and expecting an overshield to be there, but it's going to be Mental who is going to grab it from top middle. So early advantage here to Shopify Rebellion when it comes to that power-up. However, the kills did go the way of ITB. Now we'll have to see how this kind of develops. Looks like a big flood on the P side coming in from Shopify. 4 players on this pink tower.
You said we'll see what Mental could do. Already 50% of the overshield has been burned just on time alone. First one does come in, though. That's a nice opener coming in from them. Now we're tied 3-3.
zMightys manages to find a double. That's going to be 3 dead momentarily for Shopify Rebellion as that sneaky sausage WuTum manages to find his way towards a back-to-back. We're 2-0 in this game. WuTum looking to add another one. Doesn't get the trade this time around, though, but it's still going to be that 1 kill, make it 2 kills. As TchiK will find another one. Advantage going to ITB. So a Cykul advantage with no overshield. Take that all day.
Yeah, very nice from WuTum. Even though he may not have needed it due to the damage that was already applied to the overshield, he does get the back whack to just take down the overshield player top car immediately. And that gives them, once again, still a little bit of a lead here. So it's a solid opening from ITB, but Shopify knows they've got a lot of time on the board and also the record to prove that they know what they're doing in this game type. 1 dead for each side.
One of my favorite players to watch in European Halo, and certainly on the big stage as well, is the man on your screen right now, and that's going to be the Frenchman, TchiK. One thing I always love about him is his escape route is always planned. Whenever he's engaging in a fight, he'll put a few shots in, he has an escape route to try and reposition to help another teammate, and you're seeing that on your screen right now. His survivability is something that allows ITB to have a pivot to play around.
Really, really nicely played, as you said. It's not easy to do, especially in Infinite, but it's so important. Picks up another one there. Going to be 2, maybe 3 in a second if he gets this third one on the dinos as well. Should be able to clean it up in the end. He does. That was a momentary 3 dead for the side of Shopify, and just like that, it's still a 3-kill lead for ITB.
Overshield going to be coming up right about now as well, top middle, and the Slay's going heavily in the favor of ITB in the last few moments. You would expect someone to be top middle who will be able to scoop that up. However, it's going to become a 2v2. Mental with a 1v1 top middle. Going to force the player down, but it's WuTum again who wins that 1v1. Suppress is going to slide in, though. And managed to find the overshield, but is only met with the green gun, so the overshield, game over for you.
Huge, huge play from TchiK. Shuts down the overshield immediately. Doesn't even trade. Gets the kill with the green gun as well. And now they will continue steamrolling. 19-13 off of the second back-to-back overshield denial. It's a great counter from ITB. They now lead here by 5.
Really, really good stuff there from ITB to prioritize what the play was. We're not going to get overshield. What do we do to try and counteract that? We play for the green gun. We play for the plasma pistol. And essentially, we try and play for that trade. They get more than that in that situation. And they still have a 4-kill advantage off the back of it. However, a couple of players are going to fall here for ITB, and this is an opportunity for Shopify Rebellion to find a little bit of a foothold and start to close that gap.
2 were dead there momentarily for Shopify as well. Cycle's going to have to rotate and see what's going on with the squad. A few shots exchanged, but you got to think on the Shopify side of the stage, they're thinking, already lost that game number 1, down by 5, almost at the midpoint of this game number 2. They need to find a way to ice up here and focus.
SoulSnipe taking down a no shields. One thing I will say about the bandit change you'll notice is that 5th shot, that headshot. Sometimes you'll see a couple of players just, it's almost like you have a few too many seconds to think about it, and you could miss that shot, and that can cost you. zMightys flies in, not going to be able to get the kill himself, as TchiK will get stuck on his way forward. Now he has to try and survive. Going to get no damage in that beatdown, though. However, ITB will keep that advantage on their side. Now 5 kills is their lead as we approach the halfway point of this game.
Got to mention it as well. Early on, TchiK was not on the board in a big way. I believe he was 1-3. Guess what? He just tracked a killing spree, and they're up by 6 right now. TchiK, a huge, huge part of this last rally.
Really, really impressive, and it comes off the back of that survivability, right? We saw that life from him. Staying alive, we always talk about it. And what you can do off the back of an extra life, essentially, you can get by not over-challenging, by not being taken down. And that's exactly what we do see. Now, Mental finds an overshield again here. That's 3 in a row for Shopify Rebellion. And they're starting to just claw their way back into this game. About a third left on that overshield. TchiK going to be challenging himself. He's poking. He's looking for that trade. He's not going to get it, but there's the trade in the kill feed. Shopify Rebellion again with the overshield, not doing a huge amount.
Look at that counter once again. They force a gen play there, and amazing damage that came out from TchiK to almost get the trade himself, but in the end, he actually gets enough damage where they pinch the overshield from both mid-gen and a high-gen. They essentially shut it down again, and they maintain that 4-kill lead. And if they continue this pace, they will close this one out comfortably, but still a lot of game here yet to play.
One thing you will notice is the pace of this game, the Aquarius Slayer, in comparison to what we've seen essentially throughout the rest of the season. the speed at which you can collapse, the bandit speed to kill, time to kill, excuse me, being a little bit longer means those collapses, those snowballs don't seem to be in effect quite as much in this game in particular. Another trade coming in the feed at the moment, however, it's going to be ITB who find themselves down numbers. 2 kills now the difference, and to lead for this long in the game, and then find that lead start to slip away, you can get very nervous in those final moments. So ITB, this is a big moment in the game for them.
Really big moment, as you said. Just right now, only a 3-kill game. Also worth mentioning that, let's not forget, Shopify was down 19-12, and they've now brought this game back within 3. It's a big, big comeback, but still a little bit of time left on the clock here. Well past the halfway mark. This is really your home stretch. 36 on the board for ITB now.
Getting closer and closer to a 2-0 series lead here. But the game, as we well know in Halo Infinite, is never done until you see that win come up on your screen. Cykul now trying to play the pink tower. A couple of players from ITB are going to be trapped on this pink side. Jimbo taken down to no shields and will be taken into the death screen as well. 2 kills now the difference, and Shopify once again controlling this pink tower, now bring it back within 1, and SoulSnipe with a double ties this game up at 37.
Wow, here we are all tied up now in ITB. Lose the overshield yet again, 38-37 in their favor, but what can Mental do with the 4th overshield of the game? Can they run away with it starting now?
Cykul's going to find one. Player gets cleaned out the back of the base as well, and it will be Shopify Rebellion who go into a lead by 2, and still with 2/3 of that overshield. Mental looking to extend it even more. This is the business end of the game here for both teams, and Shopify Rebellion are showing a bit of experience and just that ice they need.
Really well done there by Mental. In the end, he doesn't get the car 3 clamber, but instead just puts his gen here. That's going to give a nice sizable lead for them by 4 at the 43 mark, and this could be heartbreaking for ITB.
Don't get many opportunities to win a Slayer against a team like Shopify Rebellion. We talked about their records, and ITB, they've had that chance now. Are they going to be able to clutch up? Are they going to be able to somehow find a way back into this game? It's a 5-kill, make it 4-kill advantage. Goes back to 5 though, as inside of this base, Cykul trying to put some pressure down. Mighty's trying to stay alive, manages to do so valuable at this point in the game.
That's huge, and they pick up another one as well. 48 though on the board here, only 2 more kills to go for the side of Shopify. No room for error for ITB.
WuTum's going to find one. WuTum's going to be re-challenging here onto SoulSnipe to break his shields as well. Well, like you mentioned, the bigger picture here is for ITB, it's only 2 deaths to play with.
And another overshield coming up. Hasn't gone well for them.
Jimbo finds another. And all of a sudden, you look at SoulSnipe's positioning and how he is being a little bit more wary of the positions he finds himself in. ITB trapped on the gen. Chick will find another one. Thrust in the hands of ITB as well, and all of a sudden it's a 2-kill game here.
Can you imagine?
Jimbo gets a trade in the base. That's going to be 1 more to go here. SoulSnipe finds that 50th kill, and the comeback is complete for Shopify Rebellion. They tie the series up at 1-1 with a win here on Aquarius Slayer.
Man, what can you even say? ITB gives up 4 overshields, and guess what? It's the 4th one that's the final dagger. You might be able to get away with giving up 3 and having to trade. But I'll tell you right now, you're not going to win a lot of games giving up 100% of power-ups. And honestly, it seems terribly fitting for ITB to lose that game because you need to focus up on those power-ups. Yeah, you might be able to neutralize the way that you did throughout the majority of the game, but I'm sorry. If you're going to give up 4 straight, you don't deserve to win the game.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. It's just unacceptable to be at least not getting 1. You know, if you want to... And we mentioned the Slayer record. We're going to keep talking about it because it's just extending now. Shopify Rebellion are an incredible Slayer team, and if you allow them extra power on a map, they're going to win the game. It's as simple as that. I mean, it's very easy to pinpoint where that went wrong, right? I mean, the biggest one for me, I think it was the 3rd overshield, where ITB seemed to be picking up a couple of kills, but still didn't manage to get control of that overshield. And I don't know if that was because they became too hyper-focused on a couple of players who had the shields broken, if it was they were just unfortunately not in the position top middle where they were in control and had an access point to it, but whatever it was, it needs to be addressed because you can't allow that to happen.
It really does, and I think also the specific things, take a look at some highlights from that game, the specific thing that's troubling from the side of ITB is they did so well to neutralize each of the overshields earlier on. However, guess what? When you have Mental with a little bit of overshield left, still pushing in your flag and just mopping up your team, that is when it's going to bite you. So you might get away with shutting each overshield down 1 by 1, but you are not going to win games. You're not going to win series with that tactic. And even, once again, Chick with great damage on this overshield as well, but you felt like, and I think ITB probably felt it as well. Once you've watched enough competitive Halo, when you watch a game like this, you're thinking to yourself, it's too close. Here's the overshield push that we talked about in the end that gave them the 5-kill lead. It's too close, it's not comfortable, and you always felt like Shopify was still in this, even when they were down by 5 or more.
Yeah, it was, like you mentioned, it was an interesting game when you talk about the overshield, right? Because ITB kept it close, but it was just, there's only so many times you can get away with it,
Exactly.
It felt like, to be honest with you. And having got away with it for so long, it was just a case of one of these is going to hurt us.
Yep.
And one of them did hurt them. And then even in the final moments, ITB did a really good job of holding the line. Made it a little bit closer. We were like, they've only got 2 deaths. ITB seemed like they knew that as well when they were playing around that and waiting for Shopify to fall into that trap a little bit. But what else do you want us to say? You need to get overshields. You need to contest those overshields if you want to be successful in those games.
Yeah, really tough loss there. To be honest, I think on the ITB side, they're going to be thinking about just a few things that could have gone differently. You can't let a team, first of all, grab every overshield on you, like we said, but also even just to let, you need to make sure in the end, they had, like you said, such composure on those gen pushes. They were like baiting and switching perfectly. They got about 4 kills while Shopify was right around the 47-48 mark, but you can't let a team like Shopify get on to 48 kills. It's just too little too late for them in the end. They need to dust that one off, though, and get ready for King of the Hill recharge, because even though we were moments away from what could have been a 2-0 lead here, now we're tied up 1-1, and we are, as we said earlier, in the business end of this series now, and all tied up, everything to play for, and now momentum certainly firmly in the side of Shopify after that comeback win.
Yeah, I would agree with you there, and I think now moving on to King of the Hill, which I'm very excited to see how the game types adjust and the pace of the game adjust thanks to the bandit change that we have seen. If it's going to be a more methodical break, if it's going to be a more methodical hold of the map where people are just not worried too much about a couple of players surviving from a push, but as long as they get those first 2, then they'll be able to allow the players to respawn and hold the map a little bit more than pushing in to try and get that squad wipe that we sometimes look for with a 4 dead. But looking at the Slayers, no surprise. Cykul and Suppressed. I was going to say 2 S's, but Cykul's name starts with a C, so
We have trouble with that kind of
does not
stuff all
work,
the time.
essentially.
Similar sounding letters, though, aren't they? Yeah.
Phonetically?
Phonetically, I think, yeah. I think that's what we would call it. Luckily, we're going to focus on the players and the gameplay instead of any type of linguistics or phonetics for the rest of the show, and that's a promise you have from us.
For everyone.
Cycling that on your screen there, just I think the way that this player has shown up, the way that this team has shown up, it's a huge win. And like I said, it'd be one thing if Shopify just came back into game 2 and steamrolled in terms of momentum, what we would see here. Instead, once again, trailing 19-12 early on to come back with a last-second steal it out from under you win, I think gives Shopify Rebellion even more momentum here. ITB is going to have to find a way to really ice up, lean forward, and get back into this series because I think Shopify is going to look the strongest that they have in this game number 3, and they're probably going to show no signs of slowing.
And of course, then we move on to Strongholds as game number 4, which we will see in this series. Live fire Strongholds, I think that's going to be the game type probably that's most affected by the slowing of the bandit rate of fire. But now we're not going to see those floods. Maybe there's going to be a little bit more of a 2-cap hold. It's going to be interesting to see how that does develop. But before we get there, of course, we have to decide who is going to go ahead in this series between ITB and Shopify. How do you think it's going to play? It's interesting, right? King of the Hill.
Yeah, this one, I agree. Very interesting. I think right now Shopify is going to come out absolutely just firing on all cylinders, and they're going to be really tough to keep pace with based off of what we just saw towards the end of that game. Really impressed with the composure from Shopify because, like we said, not only were they trailing by 7 early on, they were trailing by 4 or 5 for the majority of the game. But instead to just play their game, have that dominant of control and continue trailing, just shows a lot about their endurance, their confidence. And if they bring that and more into this game number 3, I think we could certainly see them take it.
Seems like ITB seem in pretty good spirits,
yeah,
I will say. And
they've been here before.
As crazy as it sounds, like a loss is a loss, it always hurts. But when you're going up against a team who has so much success in those Slayers that you've played previously, and even though new meta, I'm going to keep highlighting that was a much different result when those two teams met up back in London. I think it was a 50-39, if I wasn't mistaken, and I'm pretty sure it was a game 5 that hurt them. So to keep it within a few and show that you can hang with one of the best Slayers teams, there's always positives to take from that.
There really is, and if you're on the ITB side right now, and I have a feeling this might be in their comms, but I think you do have to take that takeaway indeed, and I don't think it's just rose-colored glasses. I think you could say, guys, we essentially almost beat them with horrendous overshield control and 0% overshield control. So let's make sure we're just focusing up on the grabs that we need. We're timing our kills, because keep in mind, when you're leading by either 5 or 7, you should be getting some overshields, right? So I think as long as they continue to play their slaying game and their map control game, they've got a good opportunity to make sure they stay in the lead here. So there's definitely, as you said, positive takeaways for the side of ITB. We're going to have to see if they can take that into the game.
I was just looking across the stats there of the last game as well. There was no standout performance really on either team. No disappointing performance, no standout. It was like 1 or 2 kills.
zMightys and Suppress kind of leading, like, but also pretty high
so
depth
I think
as well.
Suppress had the same amount of depth. Yeah. So nobody really being an outstanding candidate for the player who won that last game. It was the Overshield certainly that was the outstanding candidate as to what caused Shopify Rebellion to find themselves now tied up in this series as we head into map number 3. Time for a little bit of King of the Hill.
Underway now, tied 1-1. It's a great way to start off your day number 1 here at the HCS Salt Lake City Major. We thank you for hanging out with us, whether you're in the building or joining us online. It's been a fantastic start to the day, all tied up here 1-1 in game number 3, Shopify versus ITB.
Overshield is still down. You can see that WuTum was just waiting and baiting and hoping that someone was going to find that, and it is going to be picked up here. The camo finds its way into the body of TchiK, so it's going to be ITB who win the scrap for the first power-up. However, at the moment, nobody really with a numerical advantage, is the only thing that's happened in the last few seconds away from this is a trade between a couple of players. However, a shock rifle is certainly going to make that a little bit more likely that things are going to change, and TchiK finds himself the first face of the game.
I think as everyone saw TchiK with the camo heading towards glass, there was one reason you're heading there. It's because the shock was down, and he's already putting it to use as well. And some progress on the board. All eyes on the tower. We're going to have to be really selective with his angles here. Might find a team shot if he's not careful. There it is.
A couple of nades come in that flood him out the position. The shots coming in from the bandit is going to clean it up, but the tower push was solid coming in from Shopify Rebellion, and off the back of cleaning out the hill, taking down TchiK, ITB now find themselves all in the death screen. So about a third of the progress on that hill went the way of ITB, but it's Shopify Rebellion now with full control of the map.
Answering right back, ITB still leading, by the way, in slays, so progress on the board, and there were kills on the board as well, as they will now go 9-8 in that category. WuTum needed to make that push count because they find themselves 3 down. Mighty's down again. That's a back-to-back 4 dead, and a devastating comeback yet again here on the first hill. All the progress has essentially been wiped, and Shopify looking to close out this hill. One more push for ITB right now.
Yeah, Cykul gets the first pick as well. TchiK will fall, WuTum falls as well. There's a late contest going down, but Suppressed with a double kill not only keeps his teammate alive, but surely in the next few moments will secure that first hill going over to the side of Shopify Rebellion. And look at this rotate as well. They not only get that first point, but they're already set up for the next.
Also a shroud on the camo. This should be a clean grab here for Suppressed. He's going to be able to do that and run back to cover before he pops. Can he stay alive? He does. Somehow that nade does not do enough damage to take him down. So in the end, he'll get away with camo as well. And right now he can wait and bait and do all sorts of damage here at Hydro.
Suppressed having a little bit of fun here with this camo. Lots of players from ITB walking into his reticle, having no idea of his position. And it's just comfortable kills for him. TchiK's going to be the next one to fall as well. And this camo really has been devastating. A double kill here for Suppressed. Cykul finds another one as well. And finally, after those kills, start to get picked up, start to cycle together. It'll be Shopify who step into that hill for some time.
Yeah, a little bit of free extra kills on the board as well. You thought maybe during that, as he's picking up all those kills, they might have had time to jump in, but instead they finally jump in. To be honest, not as much progress as you might have suspected, but certainly one thing that has changed is Shopify is now outslaying 21-12.
That shock rifle going to be even more effective, I feel, this event as well. With that slowdown on the rate of fire of the bandit. Just having a little bit more time to pace that shot between the bursts coming in from your opponent. And ITB Esports in the moment are finding themselves with a rough situation to try and break out of. It's 3 dead for them. It's going to be surely in the next few moments 2-0 for Shopify Rebellion, and it's about go next for ITB. Try and play for that next hill because you are not getting close to this one.
I think they're going to wait and bait. Look at this. TchiK waiting and baiting, not getting the last tick. They know there's essentially 0 risk in just burning this clock, and this is some very tactical play here coming in from Shopify. They're fine with it. Eventually they'll probably clean this one out and try to get the clear, but they are just playing with their food at this point.
3 dead on the side of Shopify. Didn't get the point. Now. Just saying, I'm just saying.
No.
Right? Okay, fair enough. 2 dead for Shopify, this could happen.
Are you worried?
Yes.
You're worried?
I'm worried.
All right, I'm excited to see how this plays out. Let's see if they can hold. It's going to have to be the strongest Lord of the Rings-esque hold on this hill, and they might be able to do it. They're already halfway done. Will this bite Shopify in the butt? That's the question.
Ammo up as well. WuTum's going to have to do a little bit of work, though, in the tower. He's sure the flood's starting to come through. A kill does go in the way of Shopify Rebellion, which might give them the opportunity to dip their toes into the ocean. And yes, indeed, they dip their toes in, and my worries will be addressed. It's 2-0 now to Shopify Rebellion. ITB have to find a way back into this, and the camo might help them do so.
I'm not going to lie, I like that. You don't see a lot of that. Obviously, they got away with it because there was 0 progress on the side of ITB, so Shopify could really take that risk. But look how much time they burned. They burned about 40 seconds off of the game clock there, and now they lead 2-0. I like the play from Shopify. They're looking good.
into the turbine then, and TchiK won't be able to survive this time. He gets flushed out by a grenade. Suppressed will find another one as well. So a 2v2 momentarily turns into a 3v2 as Shopify will have the numbers as they try and force the final members of ITB out of that hill. Suppressed waiting for the damage to come in to capitalize and add to his tally. Should be able to get another trade here, but doesn't even go down himself. It's a double kill for Suppressed. ITB 3 dead. And even though they managed to get half that hill captured, it's going to be Shopify with full control of the map again.
You and I had spoke about what was going to happen here in this game number 3 in terms of just speed and momentum, and I think it's exactly what we expected with the way that Shopify came out. They're really taking that, I think, both the mental edge and the momentum from that game number 2 comeback and just absolutely running with it here. Still leading 2-0, 2:39 left, essentially tied up on this hill, though.
2 dead for Shopify. SoulSnipe trying to wait, see if some shots can be hit. Manages to tag one, manages to tag him again. SoulSnipe now flies in, tries to snap onto TchiK, but won't be able to do so. TchiK finds himself momentarily as the last alive, but WuTum will rejoin him off of that respawn. And now it's about holding the line once again for TchiK. He finds one himself, repositions to try and get those shields back. And with a shock rifle in his hands, he's got a chance to hit a shot here onto SoulSnipe and make this a little bit dicey.
Worth mentioning their mental getting that melee trade is absolutely huge to fly in here. However, was still 2 dead for the side of Shopify and 1 spawner 2v2 on the map momentarily.
ITB showing a little bit of resilience here. WuTum flicking around the corners to find more damage that many players would not be able to get. But can they capitalize on that damage? TchiK's still inside of that hill, and it will be ITB who answer back here. They will claim the turbine hill for themselves.
Got ourselves a game here now. Let's not forget, Shopify burning as much game clock as they did due to the confidence of being sure that they would secure that second hill is going to be a little bit of a factor here because there's only 2 minutes left on the clock. And that's not going to play to Shopify's favor. However, let's keep in mind, because we have a 2-1 game, still a lot of room here for ITB to make sure they get this second hill and send the game the distance.
One thing for ITB that might be a slight concern is how efficient the Shopify Rebellion were on that tunnel hill, which is this side of the map. A very similar position that will be held down and controlled for whoever wants to claim this hill themselves. But it's going to be ITB who seem to have an element of control around the blue at the moment. So Cykul is just playing his life at the moment. This is what he does so well, right? A lot of players might look to engage, might look to get that first pick, but he's waiting for the team beautifully. However, elsewhere on the map, ITB are saying you can have this position because we're going to pick up kills elsewhere.
2 fall shrouders down. Let's see the flood if they can get him off the sneaky. Ooh, right now they're holding it very, very well. Trades will come in. So in the end, Shopify actually kind of lives to tell the tale here. Wow, Cykul whips around the glass as well and will stay alive on glass as it was 2 dead. Now players coming up off of Shopify Rebellion.
I mean, the crazy thing here is that ITB have been picking up kill, kill, kill. It's been 2, 3 dead, but look at the progress on this hill.
Yeah.
There's always been someone from Shopify Rebellion in the vicinity with a line of sight onto that hill to make it so difficult for them to step in and claim any kind of time. So we're essentially tied up on this hill still, even though it's been ITB who have been picking up those slays.
And I got to point it out once again, you're so right, and it's been sneaky control. They've done it purely through long haul and sneaky control. It's been brilliant from Shopify, but once again, with now 60 seconds left on the clock, the burning of the time, 3 dead by the way for ITB, the burning of the time earlier is still a factor. Shopify is playing this game beautifully, 55 seconds left.
Shopify thinking we don't need to capture the hill, we need to stop you being inside of it, and ITB are finding a very difficult solution to try and come up with at the moment. A double push on the mid bridge though. After they take down one player, is going to create an opportunity for them to get across the map. Camo gets picked up here by WuTum, but he'll be taken down almost immediately. So a burn of the camo for Shopify, and with only 40 seconds left on this game clock, Shopify again. You can see the game plan. They're not worried about stepping in this hill. It's about denying the time for ITB.
Was 3 dead for ITB. Spawners, though, on the long haul is going to give them a little bit of a second chance here at life. 35 seconds left. Game clock still running, though. They're not stepping in just yet. They need the slays, and they need them now. Only 30 seconds left.
Suppressed with the first kill onto zMightys as well. That's going to make the push even more difficult towards this hill. And as the time starts to trickle through the fingers here of ITB Esports, it's only Jimbo who finds himself alive at the moment, but he'll fall as well. And this is looking like the final push for ITB. But even then, do they have the time to get in that hill?
One player pushing through Hydra right now. You have the feeling that player's not going to be the difference maker.
Time starts to dwindle down, and you can see Shopify is set up just to stop anyone from ITB stepping in that hill. 2 kills go their way. A desperate play at the end here from Jimbo. WuTum last alive, but he's not going to get the opportunity to get inside of that hill, and it will be Shopify Rebellion who play the clock masterfully in multiple situations to take a 2-1 win on Recharge King of the Hill.
It's a masterclass, as you say, from the side of Shopify Rebellion. That's one of the, I think, most tactical looks at that game type that we've seen all season. We've been waiting for teams to wait and bait the hill. It's such an advantageous and dangerous mechanic if you do that and you do it well. They knew that they had the cushion to make it happen, even on the main stage against a team like ITB. That burned, as we said earlier, 41 seconds off the clock. And guess what? When you win a game like that, only 2-1 with the game clock going to 0, that's a huge factor. As you said, they did it again with long haul and sneaky control. They did not need to jump in. It was great game clock management coming in from Shopify. They now take the series lead 2-1.
So from 1-0 down, they now find themselves one game away from claiming their first series of the tournament. And for ITB, some questions certainly to be answered. We'll take a look at some of the replays here. It was a good start for ITB, but the one thing that always stands out to me about a team like Shopify, which seems to be like a difference maker between the top 3 teams, the top 4 teams in the chasing pack, is a 4 dead is a devastating thing to experience if you're on the other side of it, because it usually means an entire hill going your way, because they can just cycle kills off the back of it. And they did a really good job actually of picking up the first kill off respawn as well. It weren't allowing ITB to ever feel comfortable on the map.
Also worth mentioning, SoulSnipe 17 and 12 in that game, and he led in assists, tied for 9. Just really big late game performance coming in from him to make sure he was a huge part of those holds.
This was the hill that did go the way of ITB. A lot of the work done inside and around that hill by TchiK. But this is the time management that we were talking about, right? Mental just set up on the glass here. You can see 40 seconds left in the game for ITB to try and put a push together. But the frustrating thing for ITB is when you know you have to access that hill, you're kind of running through and, the time is making you think we've got to get to the hill, but then you're not checking a corner. Shopify have got so many options about how they want to pick up those kills that they can set traps, and ITB will inevitably have to fall into at least one.
Exactly, and you talk about the cushion that time management created. They could just sit sneaky and long in the most obnoxious way there. They didn't even need to really look at the hill that much, because guess what? When you have players spawning gold, glass, and right around sneaky, and they're just continuing to hold down that area, ITB doesn't have to just get Hydro. They don't just have to get Plat. They need to clear out the sneaky and long and glass and then get in the hill. It was just never going to happen. A fantastic game in the end from Shopify. They lead now in the series 2-1. They also take the game 2-1. That sets us up for live Fire Strongholds as our game number 4.
That was the first game, as crazy as it sounds when you look at the stats and the scores, of this series, that felt like it was controlled in the entirety by one of the teams. It was back and forth in game number 1. It went down, it was an example of great efficiency in flag runs coming in from ITB. Game number 2 was a comeback from Shopify Rebellion, but when it finishes at 50-47, you can see it's only a few kills separating the team. But that one, even though it says 2-1 on the scoreboard, feels like a different game. Yeah. It was a different game that was fully controlled by Shopify Rebellion. Now we move into Strongholds on Livefire, which historically has been probably the quickest of the game types that we've had when it comes to pace of play. When you factor in the bandit change, I wonder if it's going to be a new type of game type, and a lot of work would have had to been done by these teams to find a recipe for success.
I agree. There's so many specific battles on this exact game type that anyone who's played enough Ranked Infinite will immediately kind of think of. If you think of battles, for example, from right on your screen, here to Nest Bridge fighting into green, players pushing in from dummies, even battles that are going across top middle, the rate of fire change and the way that impacts team shots is really going to change the way that players and teams move around this map. We'll see if Shopify can continue the momentum and close out the series here, or if ITB can stay alive and force us to a game number 5.
I also wonder if it's going to make the sniper rifle even more valuable. The ability to quick scope between those bullets coming in from the bandits is going to be certainly increased, and we've seen the reaction time and some of the crazy shots we've been seeing so far this season from everybody who's walked up on that main stage. So the sniper rifle control has always been important here on Livefire. It almost feels like it becomes even more of a valuable resource, and it's going to be Mental who finds it first.
Shopify also picks up the first 3 kills off the opening scuffle. And as you said, Mental now going to look for his next target. Of course, all eyes on Camo here. Let's see if he can finds a body on Jim. Will they get the cleanup? They do, as you see in the feed. Maybe based on the timing, I would say they might even get the second kill and the power up as well.
BNC going to be the hold at the moment. Hey, Shopify! zMightys finds himself
he's going to do it?
a little bit lighter than he was a few moments ago.
Almost.
Mental now just trapping all of these players at the back of green for ITB. A is being flipped in the meantime by Shopify, so they will continue to score. And with Suppressed with the camo in his hands at the moment, it's going to be difficult for ITB to fight their way back onto the map as WuTum is finding out himself.
Jeez, I mean, talk about power-up management this entire series. This has got to be so frustrating for the side of ITB, and it's so impressive from the side of Shopify Rebellion. 25-0 off the opening.
Yeah, really important kill though from Jim. You saw he got the kill onto the camo player and manages to just about get the conversion onto A. And even though Shopify now step into it and will be able to flip it back over, it creates a little bit of a timing window now for the rest of ITB to get back on the map. So Big kill from Jimbo. Will there be a knock-on effect from it? With Suppressed with his kill in the feed, though, it looks like the answer will be no. Shopify Rebellion continue to slay here.
Very nice from Cykul. He does even more damage. And once the shields come back, you can bet he's going to jump back in for more. 42-0 off of the opening and should comfortably get this kill. Just very, very nicely to avoid any sort of melee distance there and wins the battle of back green. By the way, Shopify is outslaying 16-7.
ITB yet to get a point on the board here, 43-0, and it will continue to go the way of Shopify Rebellion as now they will have a BC hold on the map, control of both the stronghold in front of Cykul that you can see right now and the tower side. Such a difficult situation to break out of, but zMightys checks his corners. However, he's got to check himself because Cykul hits the 5.
Really, really nicely done. Oh, finally gets taken down. You think maybe he had an extra second there. It was momentary 3 dead for both sides. It was a 1v1. TchiK is going to be the player who flies into back green to try to flip this one and maybe get some points on the board.
Yeah, based upon the respawns here, it's interesting to see how this 1v1 kind of panned out, and you can see that TchiK essentially had quickest access to a stronghold, so plays for B will get them scoring now for the first time in this game, whereas the respawn for Shopify was at a home base where they were already in control, which means they weren't able to defend and had to kind of let this one go. 2 kills go the way of ITB. Shopify Rebellion for the first time in this game find themselves on the back foot, not just in numbers, but in the fact that they will not be scoring.
zMightys, by the way, just clocked his first kill of the game, and I will say, credit to him, he does lead the team in assists, so he's been shooting, but it's a big concern because he has been the leader, of course, slaying in so many of these games. And now to only have 1 kill on the board at this stage, I think you're going to need to see a big push from him if ITB is to get back into this game.
TchiK trying to play his life at the moment. He knows that sniper rifle's up, but he's not going to be able to grab it. And it's going to be Cykul who is now the beneficiary of that. Maybe a little bit of a misstep coming in from TchiK as he maybe thought about grabbing it, maybe thought about surviving, maybe got caught in 2 minds about exactly what he wanted to do in the situation, but off the back of the decisions and the plays that just happened, now Cykul could go to work. It's BC, which is the hold here for Shopify Rebellion, and they're about to cross the 100-point mark.
3 dead. This is going to be your 4th kill on the window if they pick that one up as well. Cykul should be able to just pop in, either get the kill or the finish on the reset. We'll go ahead and looks like be able to do that. Pressure probably going to still come in from window, but he times it very well and gets a little bit dicey there, but decides to just go for the flashy play. Hits the no-scope to get sort of a Vultru on the melee almost. During the scuffle, ITB will get a little bit more points on the board, but not too much that Shopify is going to worry about. It's still 88-32.
Oh my, Cykul just snaps with the bandit after the body shot. ITB find themselves 2 dead. Big kill going down here. Can't survive, and it's going to be a double push coming in from ITB. Not just to defend B, but to keep themselves scoring for just a few seconds. First time we're seeing Shopify Rebellion start to be trapped on a respawn here. You can see they're just spawning in and around the dummies. The kills are starting to line up here for ITB, and A and B will be the hold off the back of it.
See if they can make something happen. Still being heavily outslayed and outscored, but 2 will fall for the side of ITB momentarily, so they're going to have to work even harder off the respawn. WuTum trying to do everything he can at C.
It's Cykul who gets that double kill as well, right? I mentioned how it felt like ITB starting to get an element of control, forcing Shopify onto a respawn, but Cykul just breaks through that. Finds 2 kills, one after the other, immediately creating space for them to get back on the map, flip one of these strongholds over, and that's exactly what they have done. A and B in their control for now, but as they go for C, keep your eyes on the bottom of your screen on where those strongholds are moving, because it's ITB who are inside of not just 1, but 2.
zMightys once again the only player alive. Gonna have to wait for his teammates here. 107 now to 48. It's really been a continuation of what we saw off the opening from Shopify. Just still continued control. Cykul just being a nuisance here at the tower. SoulSnipe also once again with the power up, and that's been the story of the series.
One thing that's very noticeable at the moment in this game between both teams is the lack of triple caps that we have seen. It's been more about the doubles. It's been more about holding down the map and kind of just inch by inch trying to collect those points that are required to put yourselves into a winning position here. B going to be flipped now by Shopify Rebellion. B and C will be the hold. As Suppressed will find a kill onto Jimbo elsewhere. SoulSnipe in the 1v1. TchiK almost managed to turn that one around, but SoulSnipe will be able to secure the kill himself. A only the stronghold to be controlled here by ITB, and they are struggling really to find any presence on the map. You're looking at the slates, it's all Shopify Rebellion.
It really is. Even worth mentioning, moments ago we actually had a triple kill come in for WuTum, but immediately answered back by a double for Cykul, who was one of the first spawners. So it's really moments like that that are defining this game. Even when you feel like ITB is about to pull away with a big opportunity, they find themselves here on the screen once again, 3 dead.
I'm going to keep saying it, right? It's been sniper rifles, it's been camos. All of the pickups on the map have gone the way of Shopify Rebellion, and that makes it so difficult to fight in any kind of even margins And now WuTum finds himself as last alive again here for ITB Esports, 151-51. I think the only good thing here to talk about for ITB is the fact that the triple cap hasn't been in effect, because otherwise this game would be done.
Right, and the fact that they're maybe going to get some extra time to think about how they refocus up for the next series, I think is the only other thing that we could celebrate. They're being outslayed 55-30.
They don't get beat by like a pixel. Someone needs to dip their toes in to get the conversion, or is it going to be a little bit of a heartbreak and a reset coming in for Shopify Rebellion? That's exactly what will happen. And now, over 100 points to margin between the two teams.
Got to say as well, Mighty's only records his 5th kill there in this game. And like we said, when you don't have one of your big slayers putting the numbers on the board, it's not going to be easy to get back into the game. It's 170 now to 58. Triple cap, though, by the way, just as quickly as we say that. So ITB fans, hold on to your seats. We could see some more points on the board yet. This one's a 100-point difference, but it's not over yet.
Seen some crazier things. Certainly have indeed. Like you mentioned, it was the first time we've really seen a triple cap from either side. However, it's going to be a very, very short amount of time that it was locked in. But off the back of it, ITB at least finding a little bit of momentum here. Starting to find a few kills. However, Jimbo cannot find any way to put his reticle onto a no-shield player below him, and he'll pay with his life.
That's tough to watch. We've all been there in those scenarios when you got a player scurrying away just below you. You're trying to get those last bullets down. You can't. 2 dead for ITB yet again. Make it 3 dead. Jimbo's your last player alive. He's a respawner.
A going to be flipped by ITB, but C going to be flipped at the same time by Shopify, which will continue the scoring in their favor. Little moments like that are ones you look back on in a series where it's like, if we get that kill, what happens off the back of it? The killing spree here for Mental is going to keep his momentum going in this game as well. He's 17-6 in this game, by the way. Just kind of just went about his business without anyone noticing.
And also tied for leading in assists. Him and Suppressed both on 11 assists as well. Just unbelievable numbers coming in from Mental here.
I mean, you look at Cykul as well. He's 18-8. Not bad. 18-6. I'm actually doing him dirty here. He's got a few more positives to talk about when it comes to the KD. 210 points as we see the triple cap in effect here for Shopify Rebellion. And this is feeling like ITB just running out of steam in this series at the moment. B and C still keep them scoring. They're looking to close this one out here, Shopify. They're flipping A. They're trying to put pressure onto C. But ITB is now or never if you want to see a game 5.
Once again, just brilliant game management coming in from the side of Shopify throughout the entire game. Still outslaying, by the way, still by 30 kills. It's an unreasonable margin that shouldn't happen on the main stage.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. That's too many. Mental now with a sniper rifle. He hits the body. He's going to be challenged, but you got the feeling with everything that's happening in this game.
Icing on the cake.
Mental was never going to lose that.
Icing on the cake, salt in the wound, whatever you want to call it. It's 9 points to go here for Shopify in not just the game, but also the series.
Mental's going to flip A. ITB trying to push him, but this man is just having a field day at the moment. It's another one to the collection. 21-8 for Mental. Cykul now will finally lose a 1v1, which is something we haven't mentioned too many times in this game. And with only 9 points to go, ITB at least putting up a little bit of a fight towards this endgame.
Was 3 dead, though. There should be some pretty heavy pressure coming in here in moment from Shopify as they'll look to flip. But still, points on the board here for ITB as they might get past the 100-point mark here.
I'm almost feeling like this is a foregone conclusion in this game, but as we know in Halo Infinite, the game ain't done till it's done. Another trade coming in, and Shopify Rebellion find themselves 3 dead. Suppress is going to be last alive here, and Shopify now find themselves under the spell of the triple cap from ITB side. TchiK's going to win an individual fight as well, and maybe there is a little bit of spark here for ITB.
Should also be a camo here. WuTum will pick this one up presumably first and then pop. That's exactly what he does, and he stays alive. So eventually C will flip. However, still power up control. WuTum's going to have to wait for spawning teammates here, and they're going to really need to time this team shot perfectly. They do it well with Cykul. That first pick is big.
Yeah, really important decision there made by WuTum as well. You can see he was thinking, do I try and push over to C here? Am I going to have the timing to try and beat those respawners? But you saw that Jim was at the back of the stronghold on B, tried to help him in that situation, and they managed to keep control for a few seconds, but it was only a few seconds. A and B now going to be flipped. Shopify Rebellion now will be scoring, and in the next few moments, if ITB do not step into one of these strongholds, it will be the series going their way. It will indeed be a 3-1 series win, as Shopify Rebellion will close out here on Live Fire Strongholds. And after a shaky-looking game number 1, Shopify Rebellion looks strong in the next 3.
Cykul goes 25-10 in the deciding game in the series. And to be honest, on the entire side of Shopify, very, very impressive numbers across the board. Every player with 20 or more kills in the game. Only player reaching that kind of number is WuTum on the other side. Total kills in the end, Shopify Rebellion 89, ITB 57.
Looking across at the stats on the other side, some grim reading, unfortunately, as you would imagine from some of the stats you just highlighted from the Shopify Rebellion side.
There's the other side of the coin.
8 and 23, a rough one. File that under that. We'll leave it at that.
A rough game indeed. Of course, worth mentioning, did lead the team in assists there, so once again was certainly doing the damage, but just not picking up in the kills category the way that you expect him to. And in the end, just very, very strong performance from Shopify, the objective game management, showing that they're not only a Slayer team, that goes without saying, but the stats earlier might have suggested that. They know how to do it in the objective department as well, and they know how to do it with style.
Yeah, one thing that impressed me about actually Shopify Rebellion was the element of control that they hadn't. Take game number 1 out of the equation. Map number 2 felt like it was a good amount of control, especially shown to come back in that game and not let the death start to trickle up and find yourselves down 2 in the series. The King of the Hill was a great example of the control that they managed to have, and then that game number 4, it was just a stranglehold. It was a complete and utter domination of the map, and every single time that you saw an ITB point of view, it felt like they were waiting for teammates to respawn. It was a kind of a tiptoe up the map to see if they could get some damage in, thanks to the damage that was coming in on the other side from Shopify Rebellion. So very, very good signs, I think, for Shopify moving forward.
We're just getting an update. I think everyone's wondering the same thing we're wondering here on the desk, why the players have not taken headsets off, why they have not exchanged handshakes. And it looks like there might have been at the 241 mark a claim from one side of the stage that there might have been a technical issue. So maybe we are going to resume here at 241, and Clutch is looking at me like that seems ridiculous.
I'm looking at you as well.
I will say, from a ruling perspective, we won't challenge it. From whoever questioned that on the stage on rhymes with ITC, whoever might have suggested that we should go back and do a replay. It's a bold play, but that's what we're hearing from station referees.
If one of you suggests to me that maybe we should play, I'm like, guys, we just got. I'm good with giving this game.
They're going to try to make the run. I think it's one thing. Just because we have to discuss it, I don't want to discuss it, but just because we have to, I will say it was a big rally coming in late game, too little, too late. What we just thought from the side of ITB, they were down about 180 to 241. They did bring it back 241 to 153. Now, is that justification for a restart from here? If there's a technical issue on the stage, there's a technical issue on the stage.
Well, we'll wait to hear exactly what the outcomes of the technical decision are going to be.
And we want them in detail, preferably in writing.
I want a dossier delivered. But fair play to Shopify Rebellion, they ain't leaving the stage. To be fair to them, they're probably like, yeah, cool, we'll play a few more.
They're like, no problem. It needs to be said. It is one round of slays. Actually, it could just be a 2 dead that ends this game. So we'll have to get final confirmation on if that's exactly what's happening, but I think everyone's spidey senses was kind of tingling and thinking, normally at this time, everyone's shaking hands. I'm in my head thinking of the series layout. I'm like, have I counted these games wrong?
That's exactly what I was thinking. When you just said that, I was like, wait, is it the end of the series?
And then I counted them each in my head, and then they had still won. So I was like, no, I think I've done okay here. And it turns out in the end, there may have been a technical issue at the 241 mark. And we'll see exactly what the actual score will be when we resume. Of course, keep in mind, due to new Halo Infinite settings, we can resume from the exact score point off the restart.
We can. So it's 124 we're hearing in our headsets for ITB.
Okay.
I mean, I will say, if they come back from this...
I'm going to let you finish the sentence.
I was hoping
I don't have anything to
say.
No,
I'm just saying, I don't want to
say.
put too much out there, but if they come back from this... there will be a game 5 to decide.
I think that's all you really can say.
Yeah.
Okay, 241 to 124. So it will require, no exaggeration, essentially something like 4 minimum rounds of slay
It will
hold.
require a big difference in gameplay from ITB from what we saw in the previous, shall we say, Chapter 1.
I will say also credit to ITB, because they did find some composure there in the late game. Let's not forget they were under 100 points for the majority of the game. In the end, we saw them with a pretty strong surge, but it felt a little bit too similar to some of the other games in the series, too little, too late. Now, is this going to actually give them an opportunity? I think we're being pretty casual on the stage here for a reason, because it's so unlikely, but we'll have to see if they can somehow pull out what would be described as a miracle.
Yeah, it will be a miracle. Another miracle that happened today was you somehow managing to get half of Jim's breakfast.
I did. Man, was that good.
That was good timing for me. We went to a coffee shop this morning, grabbed a coffee. Jim's there. And to be fair, the bagel, it was
enormous bagel.
Fast.
I think it's a good moral there. You know what the moral of the story is? always take the time to say hello, because you might get a free bagel.
It's true. I thought it was just never be around you when there's food on your plate.
That is dangerous, but I will say, fantastic
Hungry or otherwise.
bagel sandwich. I'm thinking about it right now, actually.
I did deny you getting the second half of it, though. I will say.
Yeah, I'm not sure why you did that. Jim offered me the second half of the bagel, and Mark goes, no, man, you take it. And I'm like...
He said I might want it later. So I was like...
He didn't want...
Andy, you've already eaten half of his breakfast. You can't take the man's entire breakfast. You
I'm
could have bought your own bagel.
Didn't cross my mind.
No, I think it would.
Okay, as a reminder, Shopify just outslayed 89-57 in the end of the game. However, still waiting final word on exactly when we'll be able to get into the game, but it does sound like it will be 241-124 as the players now wait for this on the stage. But I wonder what Shopify's thinking.
They seem to be pretty good. I will say, I think they're in pretty good spirits because they're probably thinking there's no way we lose this from here. It's a full
No, they're not going to. I'm thinking that they're getting cut into their bagel time if they wanted to get bagels.
You can't stop thinking about bagels now, okay?
No, frankly, I can't.
You okay? I'm going to get this man a bagel.
I will be.
SoulSnipe seems pretty happy. He's probably looking at the stats from the last game. I'll read them out to you, everyone at home. Mental, 21-9. Things were going
with 13 assists.
Things were going well for him. Suppressed, 20-18. Not bad.
By the way, Royal Flush from
SoulSnipe.
Mental. Gets all three categories leading. Beautiful. Keep going.
Mr. SoulSnipe, 22-20. Not bad. Cykul, 25-10.
Positive 15.
He was on a 2-kill streak.
You mean at the end of the game?
Yeah. He was frying.
Feels less relevant. I don't know if you could say that after the man went 25-10.
I mean, if
he was also on a 2-kill streak.
Let me give you the ITB stats then, if you want. If you're,
I'm not doing the ITB stats. No, those are
0 for all players at the end of that game. So it was a standout statistic. He was on fire in those final moments of that game.
He was. We should mention WuTum, though, putting up 22 kills on the board. It's a pretty big statement there. He's really the only player that was on that tier. TchiK was the closest at 15. Jim and zMightys at 8 and 12, respectively. But for WuTum to be there with 22 kills in that game, keeping on, he had a lot of, 21 deaths to his name as well. But still to be kind of firing the way that he has, I think he continues to perform very well.
I was going to say something really horrible. I'm not going to go there.
Yeah, don't say what you're going to say.
I think I worked out what the technical issue was. I'm not going to say it.
Yeah, I'm staying far away from this. I'm staying focused on bagels.
Jimbo wasn't getting any kills. Was the technical issue. But I'm going to say it quietly so it doesn't fight me afterwards.
Lots of series to look forward to, though, this evening, without a doubt. Got to say, Space Station fans in the building are going to be excited to see last match of the evening. SSG will be on the main stage. You know this place is going to be rocking. It's going to be a fantastic way to end number one. But tons of matches before we get to that. A lot to look forward to. As we said earlier, the FaZe versus Pure rematch, which is probably one of the biggest rematches I've been excited about, in not just for this event, but in quite some time.
Yeah, that's going to be a fiery series. Like I mentioned, we've got Quadrant versus Optic as well, which historically has given us some crazy outcomes throughout the years that those two teams have been throwing down. It was kind of the series that defined what Quadrant were able to achieve last year. Different season for them a little bit, though, you have to say.
Yep.
Losing to, of course, ITB Esports in that crazy game 5 that we saw back in Atlanta. I think it's worth, while we're waiting for these games to get back underway, or this percentage of game to get back underway to decide this series, to kind of mention Quadrant, right? Because it's been a very strange feeling season for them. There was a lot of expectation, a lot of excitement about the team changes. Obviously, they lost Legend, which is going to hurt anyone. Wes was talking about on the desk what a season he's had as a potential MVP candidate come the end of the year. But for Quadrant, like, we're waiting for the conversations and the statements that come out of that camp to come true, because it feels like they're just flattering to deceive. Not so much in the build-up, not so much in boot camps and scrims. It's about the main stage. It just seems like they're just coming a bit unstuck in those big moments. Yeah,
I agree. And I think the risk also for Quadrant is just, they tasted such, I think, the highest of highs last season in terms of the things that they were able to do, right? Fist bumps on the stage means one thing.
We'll go back to that conversation in a minute, but we are going to conclude this game now that the appropriate scores, numbers, inputs
had to be manually
electronically have been added to the game.
Took a little bit of time.
If you're wondering, if you're just joining us, what's going on? Good question. TchiK liked that one.
I was thinking the same thing. TchiK loved the joke. I love the joke.
Stream open.
This is going to be, I tell you what, this is one of the latest game restarts in terms of a score on the board. See if ITB can pull out a miracle.
Here we go then. Back into the game, 241 to 124. B will be neutral, as we'll see both teams control one stronghold at the start of this, and WuTum does get that first kill. Now, all of a sudden I'm interested, Andy. All of a sudden I'm invested because it's going to be 3 dead for Shopify Rebellion. And ITB, maybe this restart was worth waiting for.
Is it a formality or is it absurdity? That's the question here. 35 on the board here. Oh, Jimbo picks up a brainer as well, defending the pillar well. 3 still dead for Shopify. Let's see what happens here.
Well. Don't get too comfortable. Another body shot coming in. However, pressure is coming in from the tower here, and Cykul will finally take that snipe out of the hands of Jimbo. Going to be collected though. A QT in the hands of one of the ITB players. Suppressed is going to find a kill himself, but BC still the hold here, but the kill's starting to stack up in the favor of Shopify Rebellion. That's going to be 3 members of ITB falling. Cykul with the sniper rifle up on the tower as well. And with C being flipped to Andy, maybe the absurdity will hold off at least for a few more moments.
It's, yeah, it looks like maybe right now trending towards formality. Just a few points on them. Oh, boy, Jimbo picks up another one, though. See?
Wait.
3 dead for Shopify. SoulSnipe is your last player alive. C will flip in the end. And only 1 point during that exchange collected for the side of Shopify. It's not over yet.
It's not over yet. This could be the everlasting game of Halo. We may be stuck in some sort of time vortex. However, Shopify will get 3 members of ITB into that death screen. Finally, there's 1 more player to deal with. You can see the SoulSnipe is trying to hunt him down. Benter will find the kill. And it is going to be finally the conclusion of the game, the conclusion of the series. Shopify Rebellion will win it again. And we'll finally close the series out at 3-1. But we followed the rules.
This feels like a fever dream. I feel like I made up the last 15 minutes in my head because there's no way that we just waited for the last 9 points. I think there are lessons to be learned here. When you're trailing 241 to 124, you might not need to restart it. Shopify was always going to win that game. And they eventually, as we said, will just have their lunch delayed in the end. And they will now exchange handshakes on the stage.
Finally done. We managed to close it out. And it will be Shopify Rebellion who managed to claim their first victory here in pools. It was a 3-2 back in London between these 2 teams, but it's a 3-1 here in Salt Lake City in the favor of the team who have had the Sunday scaries, but certainly looked good in pool play once again. I mean, as we turn the conversation maybe from the absurd to the more serious, it's a good result for Shopify Rebellion, especially after how that game went.
It really was. I think Shopify looks very strong. I think not just the games that they won and the score lines in the end, but the way that they won them. Really tactical, as we said in the King of the Hill. A fantastic game management across the rest of the objectives in the series as well, and the comeback in the Slayer. So I like not only what I saw from Shopify in terms of the series result, but also the way that they achieved it.
Yeah, very solid stuff from Shopify. Great elements of control in those games, in those game types as well. ITB looked like they're having a pretty good time at the end of it as well. I don't think they're too frustrated with how the series went. It looks like they maybe put up as good a performance as they would have wanted to, but while we kind of wrap up this series here, let's head over to our main stage now. Blaze has an interview with a member of Shopify.